your boy has a list. And I got a list right here if you're watching on the show. I'm opening this bad boy. If you're listening on audio and you're in a little ASMR, you can hear that list open up because I'm fed up with the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm fed up with them. That's why I'm wearing this Miami Heat Vice jersey forever, because my NBA team's the only thing making me happy these days, because my NFL team stinks, and I'm here to talk about it. Again, if you're new to the show, we all live in Montana, and the great thing – welcome. And the great thing about Montana, I think, is that you can kind of pick and choose. I think you should stay loyal, but I think when you pick your team, you choose them. So back in the day, Nick and I, when we were starting to get into sports as brothers, ended up I chose Eagles Heat. He chose Spurs Packers, and we stuck with them. And that's great. As long as you stick with them, if you don't have any affiliation to the city, I think that's great. So that's why my teams are different. I'm not a Sixers fan, and I don't mind the Sixers. I like the Sixers. But my Eagles, back to them. I got a big list here. I'm fed up. And I am fed up for a lot of reasons. So let's talk about these injuries. And how when you're injured all the time, Doug, that you can't build any dang chemistry and you can't have any, good things happen when you're all hurt. And I blame Doug. I'm shouting out Doug because it's the training. It's got to be in the training. It's got to be in what we're doing in practice. How can you be injured 3 years in a row and have this continue to happen? Look at this. Perkins, injured on IR. Andre Dillard, starter, injured on IR. This is before the season started. Quiz Watkins, injured, maybe could return week 4 on IR. Will Parks, great safety for the Broncos last year. Got him for the cheap. I was so pumped about him. Injured before season start, IR, maybe comes back this week. Is this week 4?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, well, I haven't heard a thing. So they're not coming back week 4. Brandon Brooks, maybe a Hall of Famer. Starter, star, injured before the year. DeAndre Hall, injured. Vinny Curry, injured week 1. Craig James, cornerback, injured week 1. Isaac Salomalu, injured. Maybe comes back halfway through the year. D-Jax is questionable, injured. Maddox is hurt. Alshon Jeffrey, where the heck's he been? Ruby Ford, DB. I've never seen you play because you've been hurt for 4 years. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, the guy we took over DK Metcalf, who's out there balling for Kyle. Meanwhile, we can't get him on the dang field to develop well.
Go Hugs,
Dallas
baby.
Goedert, stud tight end, injured. That's a game injury. I'm not going to get as mad at a game injury when you're getting tackled the wrong way. That happened for him. So he gets a little bit of a leeway from me. Jalen Reagor rips the tendons in his thumb by catching a ball in practice. What is this? Is this bad luck? Is it Doug? I think it's mostly Doug and a little bit of bad luck, but I'm fed up. Oh, let's go to the back of these notes here, huh? The back of these notes. This is about my tie with the Cincinnati Burrows. First of all, Carson Wentz had an MVP year. He still probably should have won it that year, and he didn't. Brady won it.
2017,
Brady
right?
lost. 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Follows it up, comes into camp, fractures back in camp. Again, Doug, camp, too tough apparently. Fractures his back. We don't find out about it until about 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later. Never healthy. This offseason, finally gets healthy, puts on 13 pounds of muscle. Clearly, it's too much muscle because now he's overthrowing everybody, and I can't handle it. Wentz balled out last year. He took nobodies. He's dropping dimes. Yes, he missed some people, but he's dropping dimes. Guys are dropping balls all over the place, and he makes it to the playoffs, wins the important games last month, and he has looked awful. If rookie Joe Burrow, I love Joe Burrow, rookie Joe Burrow is outplaying you by a mile, by 2 miles, by 100 miles in his 3rd NFL game ever, and you're getting outplayed. Wentz is throwing balls into Miles Sanders' feet on a screen where there's no pressure. Are you kidding me? He overthrew a wide-open Miles Sanders on a wheel route. He overthrew Deshaun Jackson. I'm sick of it. Next, play calls. Doug, you need an OC. I like your play calling for the most part in every other year until this year. But clearly you've decided no OC. I've got a passing game coordinator. I've got a coordinator. I've got a running back coordinator, and they just kind of help me. I'm done with it. The offense has not been the same since Frank left. I get that. The offense hasn't been the same, hasn't been as dynamic. I don't think that's all Frank, though. I think a lot of that is still Doug from that year. He calls the plays. But I think the preparation has changed, and it's not going well. Even with an OC last year who was not very good, they managed to figure it out eventually. And I think we need an OC. I think we got Marty Morningweg in the building. Great OC. Get Marty as the official OC and not just a consultant. Heck, get what's his face? Who's the old guy? I can't even remember on my practice squad right now. Josh McCown. Get Josh McCown on my practice squad. Get him off the practice squad. Make him the offensive coordinator. I'd be happy with that. Make Deuce Staley, for Christ's sake, the offensive coordinator. He deserves a head coaching job. He's such a good coach. Get him at the coach. I'm also done with Jim Schwartz. All right, Jim, I'm done with you. If you get 6 picks this week, maybe I'll be back on your good side. But I'm done with you. I've watched Jim Schwartz for 3 years now. If it's 3rd and 12 or longer, 4th and 12 or longer, if it's 12 yards the offense needs to go or more, he puts everybody at the line of scrimmage, and I've seen it fail more than it succeeds. I saw that Joe Burrow picked up a 3rd and 19 by throwing a dump-off screen because we put everybody back, and then nobody either bailed on it or were just blocked. The 3 guys were just blocked, and the rest of those 6 guys on the line just apparently stood there, and they didn't move much. And so we gave up a huge play on 3rd down. We did it last year to the Titans with Marcus Mariota, who just threw it up. Or Brian Tannehill was 2 years ago because it was Marcus Mariota. He just threw it up, and it was 4th and 15. They got it. 3rd and 20, they get it. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. And I'm sick of you blitzing every 5 minutes as Russell Wilson just dime, short route, Aaron Rodgers, dime, short route. I'm sick of it, Jim. Stop blitzing. Man-to-man. That's what I want. I miss man-to-man coverage. We do crappy zone, or we do stupid blitzes at the wrong times. It's like 3rd and 1. Let's blitz. Why? It's not worked all game. Well, it'll work this time. Guess what? It didn't, because Joe Burrow found no-name Bengals 4th-stringer in the flat route. I can't even talk. I'm so fired up right now. Let's go back to the list. Wentz, you stink. Get better. You're better than this, and I love you to death. And I hate that you're playing so bad. You're playing awful. He's never had 2 games back-to-back where he's thrown 2 interceptions. He's never had that. Now he has 3. He went back-to-back 2 picks in 3 games. He's one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. Nick put in their chat the other day. He's like, guess what? Dwayne Haskins, according to PFF, is the worst QB. That's the best news I've heard all day, because I would have swore it would have been Carson Wentz with his crap playing.
Wentz is
Did it change?
right in front. Wentz is right. It's Haskins and then Wentz.
Which makes sense, but at least he's not last. That's the best
news
I've had in weeks.
Actually,
He's not last.
I'm curious, Alex. I have a question for you. What you think? Because I haven't really watched any of the Eagle games, but I saw a theory by the people at PFF. They were talking about how this is the closest thing they've ever seen to a quarterback or an NFL player having the yips, and that Carson Wentz is just it's like a golfer who, just randomly out of nowhere, everything's dialed up. Carson Wentz, they said he's still making a lot of good decisions. He's just flat out missing throws, and they're like, this is just unprecedented. It's like he needs to redo his mechanics from the ground up, because randomly all of a sudden he's just had the yips and he's missing throws. What do you think about that?
I'd agree with that 100%. He's got the yips. He looks like a completely different QB. Go watch the highlights from last year. Honestly, watch the first half of the Redskins game. He's dropping dimes. He finds Goddard in a corner route for a touchdown. That's how fired up I am.
Oh no! He didn't mean it. He didn't mean it.
The TBDs, the Washington TBDs. Go watch the first half of that game, and then all of a sudden he looks like a shell of his former self. I do think a lot of it's play calling. There's no connections. Our entire starting offensive line has completely been changed and rotated out all season since the first week. I mean, for training camp. I mean, we went into the first week, we lose a guy, or we went in without one guy, then we got a new guy back, and then we lost a guy, and now we might lose Jason Peters. We don't have anybody to put there, and we haven't built up connections. I think Wentz, who does tend to hold on to the ball too long, he leads the league in fumbles since he's come into the year. He's got like 51 fumbles in 4 years. It's insane. And he holds on to the ball too long, and I think part of it is just kind of his own tendency. But I think a lot of it is he's constantly getting hit. Like in one game against the Washington TBDs, he gets sacked 8 times. Aaron Donald doesn't even sack him because all of a sudden the O-line started to figure it out. And even when he's got time, though, our play call is so bad, he's holding on to the ball because he's timid. He doesn't know what to do, so then he throws ducks. He won't throw underneath routes or he takes bad shots. I get he's a gunslinger. I get it. Hey, he's Brett Favre. Everybody compare. He's Brett Favre. He's Brett Favre. He's been compared to Brett Favre. At his best, he's going to be Brett Favre. I get it. He's a gunslinger. He's got a big arm. That doesn't mean he's got to throw 8,000 picks like Brett Favre. At least Brett Favre looked good. But he looks awful. He's a shell of his former self. There's no connections. When you're constantly rotating out wide receivers, Deshaun Jackson will play a game, and then he's out. Then he plays a game, and then he's out. Plays a snap, and then he's out. You can't build up connections with your guys, and it's causing a lot of issues. There's a lot to why the Eagles are struggling. It's not just because we're actually bad. I really don't believe that. I think if anybody believes that, you're really wrong. If our entire roster was healthy, I think we'd be a very, very good team. But that's the problem. And it's the caveat we said on this podcast anytime we talked about the Eagles' schedule and their roster was that if they stay healthy, they're going to be really good. And if they don't, they're not. And they're not healthy. And there's something going on with the staff. And there's something going on with Wentz. And they need to figure it out. And our schedule is first-place schedule. And we play the Niners, who look okay right now without all their players because they're missing Jimmy. Kittle might be back this week. It looks like he will be. Debo might. But still, they got a similar issue that we have. Obviously, they can win. But we can beat them, but then we got to go Steelers, Ravens. We got to play the Pack. We got to play the Hawks. We got a lot of tough games. Luckily, the only silver lining outside of the Miami Heat for me is that our division is so bad that we're a half game back at 2-1. We have a tie, 2 losses, and no wins. We're a half game back. That's how awful the New York Giants are. They can't run the ball over there. That's how awful the TBDs are. And I love Ron Rivera. Awful. And the Cowboys are so brutally the Cowboys that they either win great or they lose poorly. All right, my rant's over. I'm tired of the Eagles. I do think we can win. I hope we win. Probably won't. I'm bummed it's Sunday Night Football because the whole world has to watch me suffer. But, yeah. So, Kyle, how do you – oh, wait, I got one more thing. It's on the list. Hey, Zach Ertz. Don't you demand more money and then drop big-time perfect dimes. Wentz actually had a couple good dimes. He had one great catch, Ertz did, and then he's dropping perfect balls from Wentz, and then Wentz is like, everybody's saying Wentz is terrible, and he has been playing terrible, but when he actually makes connections, they drop it. Ertz out here demanding a contract, and he plays terrible. Jason Peters demanded more money to play left tackle, and he was the biggest problem at left tackle last week. He was getting destroyed where Wentz had no time, and I'm done with it. Also, Corey Clement, who I didn't bring up, has been banged up, as well as Boston Scott. All right, Kyle, how about your Hawks? I'm throwing the notes away.
Well,
don't look at them again.
Real quick, when we talked about the Eagles previously, we also said that, Howie Roseman could easily be in the conversation for one of the best GMs, but I think he needs to take a hard look at his staff and how things are being done in training camp and even on the field, because I agree with what you're saying, though. I think it starts with your coach, and I think it starts and ends with your surrounding coaches. For some reason, they're just making it happen to where guys get banged up when they're not supposed to, and then game plans don't come into fruition, especially against teams, the ones that you guys have faced, where you could easily be able to beat them. So I think Howie Roseman is fine, but I'm starting to get a little nervous about that coaching staff. I feel like I don't think Doug Peterson's job is on the line per se. I think that's a bit more going to happen with the surrounding coaches maybe, but I don't know. I'm not as high on the Eagles now as I was after seeing these past 3 weeks. I just don't know what to make of it.
Why would you? We're 0-2-1.
Yeah.
If you're still high on the Eagles, you're an idiot. We're 0-2-1. We tied with the Burrow-led Bengals.
Yeah.
I can name 3 players on that team. Are you kidding me? No, I know Lawson because he destroyed JP. Off of Kyle, I do think Howie is an elite GM. The biggest problem Howie has and still has, always has had, is his loyalty to his drafted players. That he believes that they will eventually figure it out, and it's caused issues. And this year he finally got rid of some of those guys and brought in players, and then they got hurt. So it is on Howie a bit. But Howie is an elite GM, and I do think at some point he's got to make a big trade here, and we got to get a lineman. Nobody can stay healthy.
Do you think you want to do that, though? Like, if it
depends on the picks, yes. I mean, it depends on the trade. If he gives a second for a lineman that can come in and maybe be a legit starter or saves a season, I'm all for that. If he gives a first, I mean, it just depends on how it pays out. It depends on the trade.
I just don't know if a trade would be worth it if it'd probably be one thing if you were in the cusp of becoming 3-1 and you need a trade in order to get yourself to, be playoff caliber. But if things aren't looking good for the season after another couple of weeks, I feel like it'd be like, why bother trading when instead you might as well try and go for, a decent pick in the next season and then build your roster up a bit in the offseason when you have.
Well, he might not trade a pick. You got players. I mean, there's been rumors he's going to trade Ertz for years, 2 years.
I mean, I wouldn't be shocked because it's Howie Roseman. He always makes some crazy trades in the middle of the season. But I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me judging by how you guys look right now. Like, why would you want to make a move like that when it may not even matter,
Sure, but we're also a half game back from the division lead.
Yeah.
So as long as the division's bad, if he sees that the season's not going to be bad, he's not going to make a trade. But if he sees that, wait a minute, I can get one player, even though my team is bad, but we're a game back, a half game back, or we're a game up on the division, and this can keep it that way, he'll make the move. And I'm okay with that if it works. I mean, if he gets rid of a first-round pick and we're going to get the number one or, a top 10 pick, then Howie's made a decision. But Howie's not that stupid. So, again, it would depend on the trade.
And also, last year there was – the trade for Minkah Fitzpatrick where everyone called it out and was like, that trade's terrible. Like, you guys are going to be a top 10 team while you're trading for Minkah, and that trade has been phenomenal for the Steelers. Yeah. So there's definitely – and you're in such a bad division that you're going to be I really feel like this is going to be the third time we see a team follow in the Seahawks and Panthers line and be under 500. Yeah. Honestly, I feel like there could be if
just
Dallas.
Get me in.
Dallas should probably win the division after these 3 weeks. Like they, just played. They had a terrible game plan.
The fact that they're a half game back is awful.
And they could be 0-3 too. So
yeah,